Okay, so here we are. We're going to try and test these small pumps again. Now, you remember this guy, right? That's the pump that had quite a bit of trouble priming. Well, morewine sent me this beauty. This is this year's model of the same thing. Very interesting looking pump. First of all, it's a lot cooler looking. Um, we gave up the stainless steel cart. You see the cart that this one was on? There's no stainless steel cart on this one. There's just this frame. But everything else about it is apparently, at least from the outset, looking from the outside in, a lot nicer. The wheels are beefier. The head is significantly smaller. Look at the size of this head. And now look at the size of this head. See it? So this is a much bigger head on the old pump than there is on this little new pump. But it's got this orange looking, cool looking color. It's very nice. There's a lot of actually nice little details. If you look at the old pump, let me just show you something here. This is the cord for the old pump. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay? So, once you put your tip on it, you have to either go inside the pump and remove it and make a longer one, or you have to build an extension cord for it. The new pump, this year's model, comes with, I don't know how many feet of this, but, quite a bit. There's a lot of feet of this cord. You can go quite a long way away to plug in, and that makes it much more versatile. So overall, it looks like it's a lot better thought out. Now, of course, what we want to know is, does it pump? So what I've set up here already is our initial test. So, to be fair, we've got to make the same test. So there's my pot, and we're going to put some water in this baby, and I'm going to hook up the exact same two hose setups that I had to this little orange pump, and we're going to see if this thing can actually prime itself like it's supposed to. Now, I got to tell you, in fairness, I couldn't resist. So I started it up a moment ago, just briefly, and I stuck my hand on the inlet side. And I think there's probably good news here, because it almost sucked my hand in. So if it continues to do that, I think we're going to be okay. So give me a moment to set up the hoses and the test, and I'll be back to you. Okay, so we're back. So here's our pump. Here's our pot with some water in it, and our inlet hose lying down at the bottom. And there's our outlet hose, just like with the previous old pump, which is still sitting out here, watching us do this. All right, so well, without further ado, let's hit the button. Whoa! Look at that! Look at that! Instantaneous. Look at that. And even though it's cavitating because the pot is empty, it's still pumping, even with an empty pot. And look at that. Look at that. All I got to do is tilt the pot, and this baby will empty that pot right up. Now that's more like it. Yeah, that's a self-priming pump. Or something. It worked pretty good. Look at that. An empty pot. My goodness. Do you have any idea the aggravation this pump would have saved me if I had it here in the past month or so? All right, give me a minute to set up another test, because now that we've done this little pot test, that's nice. It can pump water out of a pot. Now we want to do a real test. Most of us that work, with these little wineries are going to be working alone most of the time. So what I'm going to set up here now is, in one of my big tanks, I am going to put some water in it. Actually, I already have some in there. And we're going to see if we can pump up and over out of this pump. Because, when you're trying to pick up those last few gallons of wine from the lees, you need to get to the center of these tanks, because they're concave. So if you're alone, so if you can't sit there and hold that hose by hand and pump up and over, you can't get all the wine. So let me just set it up for you, and I'll be back to you. Okay, so we're back. We have our pump hooked up. We now have outlets going out to our little pot. We have a longer hose that goes into one of our 530-liter tanks here. All the way down to the bottom. I have little doubt that this pump will pull this thing right up. I'll tell you one thing that I am sorry to see I don't have right away is a remote on-off switch, because when you're working alone, see what happens here is, this doesn't give us a lot of room in this tank. I don't know if you can see down here with my truck, my best truck. What happens here is you're trying to hold this in the middle of the tank as best as you can to get the wine off the gross lees, right? And you want to fire it. You want to shoot the pump going. Well, I can't. I have to drop that hose and come out here and hit the tank. So, meanwhile, the tip of the hose is lying down on the gross lees. So, it's not going to work quite as nicely as it would if I had a remote. But let's give it a try, see what happens. Not quite sure which direction I was trying to go in. No, give it a try. Yeah, hold on. Well, as you can see, yeah, it pumps up and over. No problem at all, because I now have water all over the place because it shot that hose right out of the pot. Let me clean this up and we'll do a slightly different test. I'll be right back to you. And we're back. Okay, so I've cleaned up most of that mess. Boy, that thing really pumped really nice right off the bottom of that tank. So now, I'm going to try something a little bit harder. What I'm going to try and do is, you'll see my outlet hose is held down by my pot out there because I don't want it to shoot water over my winery again. But what I'm going to try and do is hold this inlet hose here up in the air, as if I was going to try and pump some wine with it, but I want to be able to get to the center of the tank by holding my hose. So I'm going to fire because since I don't have a remote, I'm going to fire the pump off first and then go and drop my hose in and see if I can get it to pump. So let's give this a try. Let's see what we got here. Fire the pump. Real quick. Steam that water. Oh, look at that. Can you see it? It's blowing. Which means I got it going the wrong way. Hold on. That was silly. Let's try doing this with the pump going in the correct direction. But you saw those bubbles coming out of there. I mean, that thing was blowing air. So, what a difference. Okay, let's give it a try going in the right direction. And drop it in. Oh my goodness, look at that. Right, here it comes. No problemo whatsoever. Look at that water fly out. Take it out. Okay, we caught some air, so it's empty. Let's really aim it now. Let's aim it. Okay, right there, right in the center. And boom. Look at that, way out there. This thing is awesome. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Well now, yeah, that's a good pump. So what we've got here is a pump that's compact, easy to move around, 15 gallons per minute. No, it doesn't have a remote control, but I suppose that would add considerably to the cost too. And for the few times you use it, it's not necessary because you can easily do what I did, right? You just fire it up, run over there with your hose. What I'll do probably in my case is I'll set up a wand on the tip of my hose so I can actually point it right at the middle of the tank. That's going to be easy to do. I'll put a little stainless steel wand on the hose and then I can point it right at the center point of the tank and pull the wine out that way. But I got to tell you, this is amazingly different from what this thing, whatever that is, up there, did, This pump, I would highly recommend. And I'll tell you why I would so highly recommend it is because I got to use this one to rack all of these tanks that you see here, all of these and all of these, and that one, twice already. And trust me, it wasn't any fun. So I know what it's like to do it, when it's not any fun. So this is going to make it all much easier. So all right, so I have to say, morewine came through. They sent me the replacement pump. I actually have two of them sitting here now. I got to send the old one back. We don't know what's wrong with the old one. I don't really care. Obviously, there is something wrong with it. But I have a shiny new little orange one. So yeah, it does everything they say it does. Very nice. So next we'll move on to working on this guy. This is a must pump. I've already been in contact with Dan down at morewine, and he's going to get back to me with some adjustments of the parameters to see if we can get it to do what we want it to do, and if not, then we're going to do the same thing with this one, which is get a different one. So back to the little pump here. Yeah, I like this little pump. It's going to make my life very easy. If you can afford it, I'd have one. It's very versatile. And I'll do some more reviews for you guys when I can. I want to talk a little bit about these tanks too. These tanks, these are the spiral tanks. These things are amazing. We'll do a review on those also. But for the time being, that's all I've got. There's the orange pump. And cheers.